Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, or indeed, if you're new to the channel, welcome along. My name is Andy, the Uncommentator, for episode number 24 of this series where we are booking Control Your Narrative, probably for a calendar year. If that is the case, then we're just over halfway through the series. As you can see there, we are currently on Thursday, the 3rd of July. I'm recording this on Friday, the 5th of September, so getting further and further behind real time now. We're now 2 months... Now, 2 months difference roughly, but we will catch up by the end of the video, of course. Now, I normally start these videos, I feel like I've been doing this anyway, I could be wrong, but I feel like I've been starting these videos recently with sort of a mini rant slash moan about modern wrestling fans and their incessant insistence on chanting things to the same tune. And I'm going to kind of do something similar here, not quite the same though, because I just wanted to very quickly talk about a YouTube video I watched about a week ago. Well, less than a week it would have been, which I found interesting, confusing, and infuriating, all in similar measure. Maybe infuriating's a bit strong, but basically it was a excerpt from a Figure 4 Weekly show. Now, I don't subscribe to the Wrestling Observer. I don't subscribe to the Figure 4 Weekly. You know, I don't pay to watch the Figure 4 Weekly, so I don't watch the full shows or listen to the full shows, if you like, that, you know, Brian Alvarez and Big Vinny V and whoever does. But if you know what I'm talking about, basically Figure 4 Weekly, it's like wrestling radio, if you like. So there's like hour-long shows, 40-minute shows where they talk about and give their opinions on all things wrestling, basically. And the little excerpt video that I watched, it was about a 5-minute video, and it was Lance Storm and Brian Alvarez, and they were talking about the Raw show that emanated from Birmingham. That's Birmingham, England, not Birmingham, Alabama. And the video was called "The Crowd That Wouldn't Shut Up." And when I watched the video, so basically it was mainly Lance Storm talking, and he was saying about how the crowd's chanting made him turn the show off, which was quite interesting. And he was basically saying about, you know, and he kind of summed up, or, you know, epitomised what I think, and he put it a lot more succinctly and more eloquently than I ever put it. But he basically said that, you know, when the crowd are just singing to entertain themselves rather than responding to what's happening, he finds it distracting to the point that he doesn't want to watch it. Like when he tunes into a wrestling show, he doesn't tune in to watch the crowd entertain themselves. He tunes in to watch a match or listen to the promos or see the storylines develop on them. And that's basically how I feel. So. And it was quite interesting. It was quite interesting and reassuring to know that it's not just me that thinks this. And the reason why I said it was infuriating, it wasn't the actual video, because I understood what he meant. And, you know, Brian was a bit more forgiving, and he kind of said, well, you know, rather than turn it off, you know, you can skip it, you can fast forward it. And yeah, Lance didn't want to do that. But yeah, the infuriating bit was I made the mistake of looking in because I thought, is it just me that thinks this? Or, you know, I'm interested to see what people think about. For some reason I was interested into what people thought on Lance's opinion. Thought it can't just be me that's thinking that it's getting beyond a joke. Anyway, so I made the mistake of looking in the YouTube comment section, and why is everything turned into, you know, AEW, or you know what I mean? It's like then you get this tribal BSers. It doesn't say BS, but you get the tribal BSers. Brian Zane puts it, and I don't get it. Like, it's like, oh well, if it was AEW, it would have been okay. Well, no, it's and it's fair. Some of the points that Lance was making, like, you know, there were more things that, you know, there was a lot of comments that basically totally missed the point. And you know, for me, I mean, I know I'm ranting, and I'm nearly 5 minutes in here, I'm just talking about this, but basically, for me, if people don't mind watching the crowd entertain themselves and sing certain things in respect to what's going on in the ring and ignore it, if you as a viewer watching at home don't mind that, then that's great, you're not wrong. You're not wrong for thinking that, but likewise, the people that don't like it, they're not wrong either. You know, and likewise, the crowd, you know, I mean, and rightly so, people were saying, well, yeah, they buy a ticket, they can do what they want when they get there. Well, yeah, they can. So, if you want to spend money and make effort to go to a wrestling show, and when you get there, not pay any attention to it and just sing what you want to sing, that's up to you. You know, knock yourself out. You know, who am I to judge? But yeah, for me, it's no different. Because when they used to throw beach balls up in the air or do a Mexican wave or whatever, for me, this 2-syllable, 1-syllable sing along, with respect to what's to me, that's no different than throwing a beach ball about. They're still not paying attention. It's just instead of throwing a beach ball about, they're singing something which. Like I said, I don't think there's much difference to that. But yeah, I think most people would agree the beach ball's irritating. But anyway, just if anyone that cares, leave a comment to let me know what you think. But yeah, for me, I don't know. I just I agree with Lance Storm. But yeah, go and check out the video actually, because it is quite interesting. He puts it in a good way. But the point, the overall point I want to make is no one's wrong. If you want to go there and if you want to go to a wrestling show and do that, great. If you as a viewer don't mind watching it, great. If you as a viewer do mind watching it and can't stand it, great. No one's wrong. It's just seems to be the world we live in, unfortunately. Anyway, after 6 minutes of rambling about absolutely nothing, and certainly nothing that is important, what is important is what's going to be taking place in this video, and that is going to be, well, what we normally do. It's going to be the next 2 shows. It's going to be the next episode of Disruption and the next episode of Liberty. Maybe in that order. I think it will be, actually, yeah. And as we continue the build to our July event, which is called Exordium, on the 18th of July. I booked that a bit soon. I've had to rejig the card that I had planned, because I don't think one of the matches, or a couple of the matches, will have had long enough build. But anyway, this has been a long enough build to get on with this video, so let's indeed do just that. As I said, we're going to be doing the next episode of Disruption, followed by the next episode of Liberty. Knowing your emails. So I think we've got 4 shows between now and the event. So 2 in this video, 2 in the next video, and then we'll be at the event. Oh, we've now had some things have occurred. I wonder if MLW have grown bigger. Let's see. So they've signed Miguelito Perez. I don't know who that is. They've signed Dave Kapoor, which was the Great Khali's manager, but he's a writer on here, I think. I think he was a writer in real life. They just put him in that role, presumably because of his ethnicity, but I could be wrong on that one. They've also signed Dave Robel. They've signed Keith Elliott Greenberg. I think he's a writer, but again, I could be wrong. Chad Patton is a referee, of course. Eric Gargiulo, is that how you pronounce it? I'm not sure, but he's an announcer. D'Lo Brown's gone to Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. MLW have signed Texano Jr. to a written contract. They must have got bigger, surely. Awesome Kong's gone to MLW. And they've risen to national levels. So, interesting expansion there. I'm guessing D'Lo Brown replacing... I'm guessing Texano Jr. was with PWG and they've signed D'Lo Brown to replace him. Not quite like for like, but anyone that signs D'Lo Brown is okay by me. Brian Cage even, has gone to AAA. Wouldn't happen in real life now, of course, that would it? But we're not living on that timeline with this game. NWA's been renewed for 30 weeks. And, oh, that lasted a long time. Okay, fair enough. Right, Monday the 7th of July. So it's going to be Disruption Day. But before we do that, let's just have a quick recap of where we left the booking. So this was the last episode of Liberty. So Chris Dickinson beat Ryan Galeone, however you pronounce it. Jervis Cottonbelly thanked Shark Boy for helping him out. And I think it was a handicap match, if I remember correctly. I could check my notes, but we're not going to do that. We'll go for memories. A video from Maki Ito. Richard Holiday and the Whisper told each other they don't like each other. Jonah / Bronson Reed, whatever you want to call him, defeated Atomic Super Thunderfrog. There was a Get Tree's Hands funny angle. Joe Hendry and Chuck O'Neill, I think they just had each other's back or something. EC3 caused Shark Boy to get attacked by the Hatchet Boys. Get Tree's Hands beat Island Assault, who are, or were I should say, Alpha Jr. and someone else whose name I can't remember. Murloc, was it? Something like that. Chris Dickinson kissed Mina Shirakawa, but I couldn't book that, so I had to book Yuki in place. That's why it didn't say Mina Shirakawa, but that's what was supposed to happen. Go and watch the last video if you don't know what I'm talking about. And finally, Chuck O'Neill defeated Bad Luck Fale. Right, after 10 minutes of rambling and not being as eloquent as Landstorm, we can now start booking the next episode of Disruption. I'm going to kick things off with EC3 after his distraction. He's now going to do something else, and he's still a manager just for the purposes of this angle that we're doing. And he's going to introduce his new tag team client. So a bit of a retcon from what we did previously. So I've got distracted, wasn't it? Say a bit of a retcon. This is a retcon, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So EC3, he was and kind of still is managing Jonah, even though I said he wasn't. But we're going to retcon that and say that he is. It'll be a ruse or something like that. Well, it'll just it'll move on. He now manages the Hatchet Boys as well. So basically, I did an angle where EC3 said to Jonah, "Well, I'm not going to manage you anymore. Now I don't need you to." But then we'll just say it's a swerve, bro, because I've got something planned, which means I need to all work together, basically. So yeah. So EC3 now managing the Hatchet Boys, and he's going to manage them for the first time, he's going to manage them in this following match. So this is kind of be two segments all merged together. So Toot of Tony Cole Brothers and the Hatchet Boys, and they're going to be taking on Mac 10 and Atomic Super Thunderfrog, or T-Frog, if you like. And of course, the Hatchet Boys will win, so they can pin T-Frog, because why not? And EC3 can interfere. Just to double down on it. Just to drill down on the fact that he's now managing them, so he can, I don't know, put his headset down and do something, distract the free, I don't know. No aftermath. And we are building to something there. And then next up, we've got an interview with our good muscular friend, Chris Dickinson, not Chase Owens, who is going to be talking about, well, I'll say Patrick Clark, but in reality, so we'll say a verbal attack, I don't know. But in reality, he'll be talking about his kiss with Mina Shirakawa, not Yuki. And he'll criticise the Blacklist, and he basically he's starting to fall for her. Basically, he's starting to believe that she does actually like him genuinely, and he's starting to fall for her. And he suggests that he's going to try and save her from the Blacklist's brainwashing that they did on her all those months ago. Now he's convinced that she does like him, and he likes her, so he's going to be the gallant hero, and we'll see if that comes back to haunt him or not. Next up, we've got a stable angle, and it's going to be the Bullet Club War Dogs hanging out. I think we can have that. Stable hanging out backstage. And yep, Bullet Club War Dogs. So what would happen in this segment, the last show, the main event was, if you were paying attention earlier, the Chuck O'Neill defeating Bad Luck Fale. So the Bullet Club War Dogs have a sit down, Finlay, Chase Owens and Fale, and they say, look, we can't have a repeat of last week. They basically, we lost last week. We can't have a repeat of that. So the Fale and Owens are sort of getting annoyed and throwing things about, but Finlay, as the leader, he's calm, he's confident, and he says he's got a plan, and tells the other two to get ready. They've got a tag team match tonight against Joe Hendry and Chuck O'Neill, so that kind of plugs the main event. And he says about you guys channel that anger into winning this main event, and you just, I've got a plan. You just don't let me. I've got a plan, basically. So that's what would happen in that segment. Before we go back to the ring for another match, and it's another tag team match player. So 3 matches tonight, and they're all tag team matches. And it's going to be Get Tree's Hands, an obligatory weekly match, and they're going to be taking on the team of Ryan Gallioni and a debuting Darius Carter. Now, if you don't know who Darius Carter is, you're not the only one, because neither do I. But we needed more jobbers on the roster, basically, so we've hired Darius Carter to eat defeats basically. Save a bit of money to be actually the main reason, because we had if you've been following the series, you'll know we had a guy called Brian Johnson, and he was costing $4,000 a match. Basically, every time I booked him, it cost $4,000. So you know, for all the jobs he was doing, if he did, let's say he did 5 jobs in a month, it cost me $20,000. Whereas this guy, Darius Carter, he's on a monthly payment, so he gets whatever he gets. So he's basically going to be cheaper than Brian Johnson, because I need to try and start saving money. So that's why there's no real big fanfare for him. He's just here to get pinned, which is what is going to happen here. No aftermath and no real purpose for that match, even though it kind of is. Well, it's just to get Tree's hands on the show, basically. That's the point. And then as they're celebrating, a video package will start, and it's for the rivalry between The Whisper and Richard Holiday. So again, just reminding people that that's a thing. We've then gotten into another one that maybe be 3 segments in one here. So you'd see the match, they'd play the video package, and then the cameras be backstage, get Tree's hands walking along. You know, they'd still be a little bit out of breath and sweating after the tag match. And Lexi Nair runs up to them. They say, you know, great victory out there, and you know, another good win. What's next? What have you got any plans? Have you got any plans? You know, this team's really firing all cylinders at the minute. And then they basically allude to the fact that they don't like some of the things that are going on. They don't like, you know, EC3 buddying up with the Hatchet Boys and further stacking the odds against Shark Boy. And, you know, Bullet Club War Dogs starting to take over a little bit and running roughshod a little bit on Joe Hendry and things like that. And they said, you know, they basically say they're gonna help Shark, but you know, Shark Boy said months ago he was gonna patrol the locker room. Well, maybe he needs some soldiers. Or, I don't know, something like that. You know, basically they allude to the fact that they're gonna they don't like what's going on, and they're gonna get their hands dirty if they need to straighten things out. And then finally, the main event, the third and final tag match of the show, and it is between Joe Hendry and his new BFF, Chuck O'Neill, and they are taking on, as we mentioned earlier, the team of Bad Luck Fale and Chase Owens, representing Bullet Club War Dogs, of course. So I'm just checking my notes, and I've made the wrong note. Doesn't matter, I know what I mean. And Bullet Club are going to get back on track here, so we'll have Fale can pin O'Neill. Actually, can pin Hendry, why not? However, what will happen here is there's going to be a run-in, and it's going to be from, well, we'll say both of them, why not? So it's going to be David Finlay, even though it's not quite David Finlay. So David Finlay and... So there's 3 members of Bullet Club War Dogs. We've got Bad Luck Fale, Chase Owens and David Finlay. But it's not still 3 members. We've now got a 4th member. So it's David Finlay, and it's going to be... not Gabe Kidd. It's going to be Clark Connors. So Clark Connors will make his debut. So what would happen? The match would be going on. Finlay had come out. He wouldn't do anything. He'd just sort of stand there at ringside and say to the referee, "Look, I'm just watching. I'm not here to do anything." And then he'd like get a radio or something and say now, or just like, you know, start beckoning his arm, and start doing a beckoning motion with his arm, and then Connors would hit the ring, destroy Joe Hendry, and that would allow Fale to pick up the win. Did you do a 4-on-2? Yeah, Finlay and Connors continue, so why not? So I mean, I can't book it, but it'd be a 4-on-2 obviously, because they're all Bullet Club War Dogs, so they'd all just pile on and then stand over their prone bodies and do a 2-sweet above. They'd stand over them and do a 2-sweet, and then the show would go off. You get the idea. You've seen it a million times. Heel heat for a heel group. And that is to debut Clark Connors. And there we go. So that is Disruption. Let's see what we can get. Can we get the Fable 60% that we like to get? Let's see. That's exactly 60%, so that's good. And good overness for Corporal and Too Tough. Good. That was a better match than I was expecting, so that's good. Good. Not good, but oh well. Yeah, we'll take that, considering the sluggishness. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That was a good match. Oh, Clark Connors needs a new gimmick. Okay, well, we can sort that out, possibly at the... possibly after the next show. 62%, we got the 60%. I'll have a quick look, see what his gimmick is, because I've got no hidden debuts or anything that I need to protect, so I will have a quick look at the roster. Okay, so Miguelito Perez lasted a long time for MLW. I wonder if they're going to fire everybody that they hired. They're quite interesting. Alex Greenfield, well, he's a new... They didn't just hire him. Dave Rebel, I think he was. Keith Elliott Greenberg, he definitely was. Dave Kapur's kept his job, though, by the looks of it. They've also hired Tim Donaghy, I don't know who that is. David Otunga with his giant coffee cup. I didn't say coffee cup. Puma King, who was a wrestler. Zenshi, another wrestler. And 208 people came to watch Disruption, so that's good. You probably should be, Chase. You probably should be. No, that's good. That was just a coincidence. We need Jared to tell us these things, though, because we don't pay you the big bucks. It's just Jared. Yeah, we know you say it every week. Okay. Let's just have a quick look at Clark Connors. Lots of people are going to be seeing Bullet Club War Dogs. Yeah, blue chip, but not really... I say lots of people, too. Yeah, not really a heel gimmick, that one. So Chase Owens is a redneck. I don't know we're reuniting that tag team, but give it time. Chase Owens is a redneck. I think David Finley's Underworld, if I remember correctly. Yep. And then Bad Luck Farley's Enforcer, Bodyguard, yeah, so that's fine. So Clark Connors, I don't know what we can give Clark Connors. He's not very charismatic, which is a problem. I feel like I need to change this now because I've got him. Spoiler: he's booked in 2 segments in the next show. So yeah. Let's see. Right, what can we give him? He just needs something, just like irritating or something like that. Kind of. I don't know. His stats are quite good. That's why I hired him. Apart from the fact that he's in Bullet Club War Dogs in real life. That's another reason. Right, anyway, let's sort this gimmick out. So Farley, yeah, Bodyguard and Chase Owens. Was he Cowboy or Redneck? Redneck. I might give Connors Redneck, actually, looking at that. Yeah, we'll try that. Can't do any harm, can it? Unless he says it's not a good idea. He's not complained about it, so hopefully... Yeah, Clark... Yeah, we know that. Okay. Yeah, well, okay, we'll give him that. If it doesn't work, then I'll have to fire him and rehire him. Because otherwise, if it doesn't work and I change his gimmick again, it'll lose loads of overness. So we'll do that if we need to. Right, okay. Yep, let's move on. We need to get to the next Wednesday. Where are we doing in public image? 83%. Making money, but obviously we've 24,000 already in worker costs. Right, Wednesday the 9th of July. Let's get on with it. And let's book this episode of Liberty, which, spoiler, when I came to record this video, I thought I'd already written this show, and it turns out that I hadn't. I still had 6 segments that I'd not written. So I very, very quickly wrote it, so hopefully it'll make sense. I could have sworn I'd written this, so maybe I just didn't click save on the old notepad. But one segment that I definitely wrote, that I did write before today, is this one, and it's the opening one. I'm just going to officially introduce Clark Connors. So Stable introduces its newest member. Now I've already put him in the stable, so I don't know if I need to take him out again. I can never remember how these segments work. So Bullet Club War Dogs. Yeah, see, I don't understand how this works somehow, so we'll come out of that. Clark Connors, so remove him. Yep, we do. Let's try again. Right, we'll edit that out. So Stable introduces its newest member. So he officially joins Bullet Club War Dogs. There we go. We can do that now. Right, so Connors, yep, is now in the group. And then we move straight on to our opening contest, which is going to be old Darius. He best get used to looking at the lights, because he's going to be doing it a lot. And this time he's going to be doing it for the Whisper. So he did his first tag team match last week, his first singles match this week. And the Whisper is going to win. And there really is no reason for that match happening, to be honest with you. Although that was a match that I did have booked. That's not one that I just very quickly came up with. As was this segment. I did have this match. I did this segment booked as well. And it's a challenge for tonight. And it's going to be Jake Atlas will come out and say, hey, you know, I'm being held down again because of my sexuality. I've not been booked for a while. Well, I'm sick of it. I'm going to have a match tonight and I'm going to challenge the biggest dog in the yard. And it's not Adam Scher. It is Chris Dickinson. So Jake Atlas challenges Chris Dickinson for a match tonight. And of course, Mr. Muscle accepts. And then next up, we've got a segment, the first segment that I actually wrote about half an hour ago. And the DVR, whatever you want to call it, is getting another workout because it's going to be, I think you could have returning work, but it's not. We'll just have worker. And it's going to be Zicky Dice. So Zicky Dice was in rehab. He's now out of rehab, and we're going to be playing a video just to hype the fact he's coming back. I mean, he was a bit of a jobber as well, to be fair, but I've got a bit of an idea that I want to do with him. So we'll build his debut up as though it's something important. So yeah, so it just makes a video that says Zicky Dice coming back soon. Of course, people that like indie, I imagine people that follow indie promotions are quite hardcore, so they will subscribe to Figure 4 Weekly and things like that. So that's just my opinion. Could be totally wrong. So the point I'm making is, I think people know that he was in rehab, why he wasn't on TV. I would imagine. So we'll turn it into a storyline, basically, because I think, like I said, I imagine most of that, this were real, most of the fans would be smart, as they call it. So we'll turn it into a storyline, as I said. And then we'll turn a video package into a match. This is a match that I booked about half an hour ago. And it is Richard Holiday taking on Mac 10. No prizes for guessing who's going to win this match. If you said Mac 10, then you don't win a prize. Because it's Richard Holiday, even though you don't win a prize. Move on. Yep, and he can win. He can cheat, why not? He can cheat because he's a dirty cheater. No aftermath. And again, much like the Whisper match, I mean, essentially it's just a bit of one-upsmanship. So what be happening there is, during the match, he'd be sort of shouting to the camera, to the Whisper, oh, you know, you're watching this, you know, you won earlier, well, I'm going to win better, or, you know better than I am. You know, I'm better than you, and you get the idea. We're talking about where the feud's been going, you know, Richard accusing the Whisper being something he's not, as my knee is seizing up. Ooh, I'm getting old. Not that you need to know that. Although I suppose we're all getting old, aren't we? All getting older. Anyway, move on. Interview next with Shark Boy, the Masked. I need a name for this team. The Masked people. So Shark Boy and Jervis Cottonbelly, and they are going to be talking about the old Hatchet Boys. And it's actually going to be hyping up the next match, which is going to be a handicap match, because of course EC3 booked it. So we're going to hype the upcoming match. And it is the handicap match, as we've just said. And again, there is a reason for this. So it's going to be Shark Boy and Jervis Cottonbelly taking on the Hatchet Boys and Jonah. So that's why we retcon the idea that EC3 doesn't manage Jonah anymore. You know, he does. It was a swerve, bro, as we said. So he's now managing all three, because he's telling them all to gang up on Shark Boy, of course, and they will do that. So Jonah can pin Cottonbelly. we're going to include them, why not? They're just outnumbered by the 3-2 down. Obviously, they're all big, scary, strong, intimidating men. So why not? Right, this next bit would be 3 segments all rolled into one, all kind of 3 chaotic segments. So I'm just going to book them all, and then I'll explain what's going on. I mean, it's fairly obvious what's going on from the booking, but I'll just try and paint a little picture for you as to how this would be going down. And yelling timber. Yep, that's fine. Shall I be quiet or shall I fill the dead air? I don't know. What's the best thing to do? Of course, the irony of that is me talking out loud whether I should fill the dead air or not. It's filling the dead air. But maybe I was just clever enough to think about that before I started talking. Who knows? Don't worry, we're nearly there, and then I'll explain exactly what's going on. So, you'd have Jonah would pin Cotton Belly or whatever we booked. They'd walk in backstage, and then the match would end, and then the camera would cut. You'd see Maki Ito there. You'd see Maki Ito with the Lexi Nair, the interviewer. She'd go to interview her just as she finished asking the question. She'd put the microphone to Maki Ito's lips, and then you'd hear a clattering and a banging in the background. And then Maki would get annoyed that her TV time's been cut off. And then, so Lexi would be like, oh, sorry, excuse me, Maki, I'm really sorry. And she'd run off, the cameraman would follow her. You'd see a 4-on-2 beatdown, Bullet Club War Dogs beating down Hendry and O'Neill, as we said. And then as they're getting beaten down, you'd hear, off camera, you'd hear Adam Scherr sort of screaming something. And then they'd come, and then again, the camera would quickly pan across. It would look a bit chaotic. The camera would quickly pan across. They'd see Gettry's hands running towards them. And then Bullet Club War Dogs would flee. Adam Scherr and Chris Dickinson would, crouch down, check if Joe Hendry and Chuck O'Neill are okay. And then Lexi Nair would shove the microphone in their face, say, oh, what the hell, what the hell's going on here? And, or Adam would grab the microphone off Lexi and then just, cut a promo basically saying, oh, this is going to, we're sick of this is going to stop, and, this numbers game, blah, blah, blah. When you pick on somebody your own size, you get the idea. So all kind of one big chaotic segment rolled into one, which would hopefully give plenty of time for the main event. The first time ever, I believe, first time ever. Maybe first time ever in real life, I don't know, but first time ever for Control Your Narrative. The meeting between Chris Dickinson, who would maybe have Mina Shirakawa with him, why not? And he would take on Jake Atlas. And we'll say Chris Dickinson wins. I was going to book Shirakawa to distract, but we won't do that. But we'll just pretend. But like Jake Atlas can pretend that's why he lost or something like that. Maybe Mina was at ringside, flaunting her bits. I don't know, but not that would distract him. But I suppose that's the comeback line, isn't it? When he says that's why he lost. But anyway, yeah. So Chris Dickinson wins, irrespective of without Mina Shirakawa's help. And then after the match, so as soon as the 3 count, so that he hits his move, ref counts 3. The ring announcer goes, "Here is your winner," and as it says winner, the lights go out. The lights come back up. Jake Atlas is gone. And in the ring is Patrick Clark, and he then attacks Chris Dickinson. And of course, that is to build up to, I think we can all see where that's going. But yeah, so as I said, match would end. Here is your winner. Lights go out, lights come back on. Patrick Clark in the ring, and he takes out Dickinson with a chair or something. I don't know. He low blows. But something like that. You get the idea. And then Mina's trying to separate him, but not, she's not aggressive, but she's trying to. She's kind of caught in the middle of it, isn't she? of the two worlds. Right, so that is Liberty. Considering it was thrown together about 40 minutes ago, I don't think it's come out too bad, but let's see if the rating agrees with that sentiment. And there we go. Positive response and 3 points of bonus. So clearly a redneck. Redneck's good. Yeah, I think it's just. I just imagine like I think he does wear a cowboy hat. So I've seen him wear a cowboy hat sometimes. And maybe like a neck scarf or something. It's something like that. Just he kind of looks a bit like Chase Owen, doesn't he? The way he dresses. So yeah, I think that works fine. Cool. That was okay, I suppose. Good. Good. Yeah, that's fine. We'll take that. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that wasn't bad actually. That was Jonah's best match. They are quite good, the Hatchet Boys. I'll give them credit where it's due. To be fair, Shark Boy's really good. I think he's 48 or 49. He's really good. Good. Yeah, we know. Well, she didn't do that. She got cut off before she could say anything, but we don't need to worry about that. Yeah, that's fine. Good. Grizzly Redwood's really getting on, which is not the. That's a shame. Which is not the point. That's a shame, but hey ho. Okay. Good. So, 63%, excellent stuff. Even that opening segment, which was terrible. Ooh, more emails. If OVW have become cult, I suspect that's the case. Of course, Liberty up against AW Dynamite, but we're holding our own in that particular ratings battle, which is positive. Right, let's have a look then. So, Goto has gone to OVW, interesting stuff. Petey Williams has gone to the NWA. AW have signed Doc Gallows, of course. What's he called? What's his name again? Not Carl Anderson, the other one. Is he called Doc Gallows? I don't think he was. Luke Gallows, wasn't it? Yeah, that was it. Big LG. Festus, another name for him. They've signed Matt Taven. They've signed Asuka to a written contract. Well, that's that plan gone then. We've got a 1.2 for Liberty. That's our best rating, I think. You probably should be, Jake. Yeah. No, still got a decent match out of you, though. Yep, you probably should be. You probably should be as well. Zicky Dice. I like the idea of that, actually. That's not quite what I've got in mind for Zicky Dice, but that's something we could go with. Right. Good stuff. Cool. Right, we'll end the video in a second. Before we do, I just want to check one thing. So, yeah, that was our highest rating. Ooh, 2 weeks left. We need to be careful with that one. So, despite the fact we're up against AEW, our ratings are superb, which is excellent stuff. As are our ratings on Twitch, which is also excellent stuff. I need to keep an eye on that, make sure that we don't lose that deal. Otherwise, we will be in trouble. There was one more thing I was going to check. And I heard about Asuka, actually. That's bugged me a little bit. But anyway, it doesn't matter. By the time we could, I don't think we would realistically sign him anyway. Certainly not while we're only regional. When we got to Cult, maybe. We maybe could have done, but not yet. Oh, yeah, that was yeah. So we're now on the 10th of July. As I said, the next event is on the 18th of July. So we've got 2 more shows, and then it's the event time. And I don't think I've actually booked a match yet. I mean, I know what's going to happen, but I think in terms of actually I've not had any segments that have actually booked a match for that show. So we'll have to come together quite quickly. Like I said, in hindsight, I'd have done it a week later, but. It's in the diary now. We're going to have to book to it. I know, like I said, I know what's going to happen. So in the next video, we're going to be doing the next 2. We're going to be basically putting the card together because the video after the next one is going to be the event. But that's all to come in the future. So for now, that's the end of this video. So if you enjoyed this video, then please like and share the video. You can also leave a comment on the video. Should you choose to do that, please make them more intelligent than the ones on that Figure 4 weekly video that I talked about right at the beginning, if you do leave one. Although, if they are not intelligent, any comments appreciated, to be fair. So, tell me what an idiot I am if you want. I really don't mind. But, yeah, leave a comment on the video should you choose to do that. While you're here on YouTube, if you head on over to the channel, The Uncommentator, you will find the rest of the videos in this playlist. If you want to know how we've got to this point, then please go and check that out. Also, while you're there, if you like wrestling, there is lots of other wrestling content for you to enjoy. I have played through EWR before with an older database where I booked PWG for a year, which I think was kept together quite nicely at times, so please go and check that out if you like this style of video. Also, I've made a couple of videos about WrestleMania, and I've also played through WWE Crush Hour for the PlayStation 2, so if any of that takes your fancy, then please go and check that out. If you don't like wrestling, I'm not quite sure how you have survived for 40 minutes, but if that is the case, then there is lots and lots of non-wrestling related content on the channel, including lashings of hot Pokemon videos, a side order of Kirby videos, and the main course of South Park Rally, and many, many other dessert choices. But join me next time. We're going to be moving on, as I said, finishing the build to Exordium, which hasn't really started yet because we haven't booked anything, but that will, of course, be remedied. But to get to that point, for now, from me, it is sayonara.